Yeah, David Hopper, Valley Friends Church. Where is that located?
We're on Gettysburg, just off of Clovis, behind Sierra Vista Mall. There's an 84 Lumber, and we're just to the right of it.
Okay.
Like a business complex
Is
going
this
on.
a little place that has a stage in it?
There is a stage.
There is a stage. I think I've seen a band there before.
Maybe. I was on here before, and we talked about it a little bit, because you've been in that area a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about your church, Valley Friends Church. What's the denomination?
It's called Friends. The Friends denomination, you don't see very many. There's a couple in the valley, but there's a lot of them down south and all across the world, really. Mm-hmm. But Friends denomination is Evangelical Friends Church Southwest, so we're part of a group that's in this area. But you'd call it evangelical.
Mm-hmm. Explain it a little bit more.
Well, if you want to go way back when all the churches are breaking off of England and whatnot because of the things that were happening, it would be the Quakers.
Okay.
I don't ever say Quakers because everyone thinks of the oatmeal guy.
All right.
It was this silent church for hundreds of years, so it's very different now. And then when Friends broke off, it was Evangelical Friends to really help people understand what it's going to be like. There's music, it's a little bit similar to other places you've been.
What's the mission?
The mission is to tell people about Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Still, the greatest hope for this world is Jesus Christ, and if we can tell more people about that, then we are accomplishing a great mission. It's interesting, that business thing that you just had on there. Yesterday I was at Peeves in Fulton Mall, and it was awesome. And one of the things that's beginning to move in the church is how to connect better with our community, how to reframe questions, and really have the church be involved in community and really get the message of Christ out in a different way, which is loving where you are. And Fresno is, I believe, the 7th largest city in California, and yet the population here, the latest in 2012 census said we were 88% non-Christian, which can mean a lot of things.
How can the census ask those kind of questions?
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was a bunch of boxes to check. And one of them was Catholic. I'm not using Catholic, so you have 44% Catholic. But another one was Christian, 11.5% marked Christian. And when I kind of looked at that census, I thought, marking a box as a Christian, usually you're pretty confident in that. You want to say you're a Christian. If you're not sure and you don't mark the box, then we need to figure out, okay, why? Why is that? And one of the things is partnering in the community in a different way, because the church has become very inward thinking, a lot of inward stuff, great programs, awesome stuff. Every church is doing incredible ministry. If you come, you can be involved in this. Well, there's a new trend starting where we want to be more involved in the community and react differently to a lot of the questions that are out there right now. So I love that downtown stuff and really being involved and trying to get the Christian community also starting businesses and using the profits to accomplish more in ministry, to reach out to more, to help in poverty, to help in, one of the unemployment's one of the biggest things in this area. Sex trafficking is huge here. How can businesses partner in a way to use their profits to actually tackle the problems that Fresno is facing? If we partner church and community and the government and the schools and all of these things together, we would be so much stronger.
Tell me about answering questions differently.
It's a reframing of the question in general. There's a lot going on in our society right now. It's pretty wild what we're in. But when we're in a series right now in Acts, we go chapter by chapter just studying this time period in which the church launched. And one of the things that some guys and we always get together and just kind of talk through these concepts. In the time of Jesus Christ when he was on the planet, there was a Roman occupancy, and the Jews were dealing with the Romans trying to put statues up in the middle of the temple, and yet when you look at Jesus and what he's saying, he never talks about that. He's like, give Caesar what's Caesar. He kind of brushes it off and talks about what's important, which is this life-changing relationship with Jesus Christ. And he talks about how if you will press into that, all these other issues, the issues are changing every 10 years. We were talking a lot more about abortion back in the day. Now, it's different issues going on. So the truth is, the issues will keep changing, but the message of Christ is the same. So in the middle of occupancy, he's saying, I want you to know something far greater. See the bigger picture of who God is, because it is life-changing no matter what your situation, what the questions of the time period are. It's a reframing of everybody wants black and white answers when it's not that type of world.
What kind of questions are today?
Well, there's a few that just came out like last week with homosexuality. What was the other big
You
one?
guys okay with that?
Are we okay with? See, that's why I hate. That's a question in which you need to reframe like the conversation.
Okay.
Because again, going
Well,
back
reframe it for me.
to who Christ is and what he talked about. In each thing that he talked about how knowing him personally, the relationship with him, it's so much bigger than one issue that we're dealing with, because we could really throw so many issues on the table and say, why do bad things happen to good people? Why are some people born in this particular situation where they dealt with a father who molested them, and this person over here has, I don't know, everything handed to him? There's so many more questions to it. And Christ, his continual message to him was, I will carry you no matter what you're facing. I am with you. I am the Holy Spirit that dwells within you, and you have a spiritual gift that I've given you. If you will fan the flame of that gift, and you will begin to live out the purpose I have for you, you will be able to overcome no matter what the issue is. So reframing the question is saying, instead of saying everything black and white, the church believes like this, let's instead go personally. Where are you personally, Chuck, with Jesus Christ? What is your relationship with Jesus Christ? If we start there, we can actually have a real conversation instead of just pinpointing who I am, what our church is about, and just saying, oh, they're like that. They're that group of people.
Okay. You have some classes or things coming up?
Yeah, one of the things that I'm so excited about is called Leadership Institute. And one of the hard things, people want to go deeper in the Word, but seminary is incredibly expensive, and sometimes they're really far from you. And we've partnered with Azusa so that we can do a local seminary training, which means basically just get deep into the Word, have the time to do it, and do it on a cheap basis at our church. And so that starts in September, and it's a 3-year, 9-module class system in which if you don't, maybe you want to be a missionary or a pastor, but you're not sure, and you're like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to kind of jump in without going off to school or paying. The online stuff is incredibly expensive. This gives me a chance to say, is this the path that God's leading me on? Or if you just want to go deep, because I'm teaching the first module, it's on John, and we're just going to go real deep into the time period, what was happening, the differences in that time period and now, but yet the application that still applies to today. It's an awesome course. That's one of the things happening. And then the other one I really wanted to mention was our new series. It's called First Families of the Bible. We launched this in September. It's First Families of the Bible, and you thought yours was crazy. We always kind of talk about my situation, how tough it is. Well, if you go back and look at all the first families of the Bible, they were nuts. I mean, there is so, and I probably shouldn't say it like that.
No, you're probably true. You're probably right.
There's so much stuff happening, and you talk about issues, it's incredible. And so we're going to take that and dive into it and say, here was this family, and yet God used them to do incredibly world-shaping things. Now, your situation is whatever it is, yet God still wants you to do world-shaping things. And so we're going to take that and really dive into each of these first families all the way through the Old Testament.
Tell me about a crazy family in the Bible.
Well, man, which one do you want to start with? We could start with Adam and Eve.
The craziest.
I don't know if they're the craziest, but Adam and Eve, you could start right at the very first story. He's in the garden, and his wife eats this apple, right? Or,
that she was told not to.
I say apple. We don't know what the fruit is, but yeah, he's told not to.
Forbidden fruit.
Why does Adam do it anyway? There is such a little intricacy.
Because of the woman!
It's the woman's fault. It's the woman's fault. No, he knowingly did it, and I think there's more to it because there's a few intricacies that we'll talk about and really bring it out, but he almost did it to bond with her in this moment, taking the consequence of the moment because of his love for her. But then it goes on from there. There's just so much more that happens. Their kids and the fight that they have, and they try and kill themselves, or not kill themselves. One tries to kill the other. I mean, you thought your family was crazy. Let's dive into this situation between the very first family. That's
the
just
talking
one.
Snake.
Yeah, well, That's a whole nother area.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I mean, Noah, if you want to go into a wild family.
Oh, Noah. Yeah, I know some Noah stories. Tell me some.
Well, that's just the miracle in itself. Your dad comes to you and says, we're going to build this huge boat in a place that it doesn't rain very often, and we were going to get all the animals to come board this boat. I mean, what are you thinking about your dad in that moment? The relationship.
Yaakov.
Yeah.
Right.
And yet, they follow him pretty, right, just jump right into it. Why is that? The relationship they had with their father was one, and they knew his relationship with God. The trust that was there had to be so deep in knowing God, and all of them knowing God, to be able to follow and do something that was that crazy.
And then at some point, doesn't Noah cast one of those men out into the desert forever?
Explain that more.
He does. Okay. Google it.
Let's examine that one more.
Yeah.
I love it.
We
I
can
love
talk
it,
about
Chuck.
it later.
Thanks, Chuck.
Okay. Now, Valley Friends Church, when
9:30 Sunday mornings. We're very new. We launched May 3rd, so we're 2 months in. We're in that early stage. We need people to jump on board and be all in, because this is the early stages of a church is like this baby that you have to nurture. And so if you can come and be involved and take this mission with us, it's the mission to reach the Valley for Christ. We're going to do some stuff differently to try and get out there and be a part of this community, but we need people. And so Sunday mornings, 9:30 a.m., that's the easiest place to jump in, and then we'll take it further from there. It's exciting. This has been so fun, and the stories I could tell about life change, how many people come and they don't even know who Christ is shocking in America, right? Mm-hmm. It's shocking when someone says, okay, I want to accept Jesus, but I don't understand, who is he again? And I have to go back into the Bible and say, okay, from the very beginning, God had a plan. To be able to do that is incredible, because I've been working in church for 20-some years, and usually it's more transfer growth, and so they have a relationship, they just have been away for a while. Mm-hmm. But with a church plant, people are saying, you know what, I want to try this. It's new. Let's jump in. And so I've been having these conversations and explaining who Jesus is from the beginning. It's
tell
awesome.
people where to find your church.
Gettysburg and Clovis. So on Clovis Avenue, if you take a right, depending on what direction you're coming from, and go Gettysburg, right behind Lumber 84, there's a building there, a big sign that says Valley Friends Church. We meet there on Sunday mornings at 9:30. Or go to valleyfriendschurch.com. The website has everything on it. We're trying to be very, you can see it all right there. So valleyfriendschurch.com is the best next step if you're interested.
David Hopper, good to see you, buddy.
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Hey, we're
it.
going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back on The Buzz. Stick around.